We're going to start. Hello, sophomores. Nice to see you. So sorry about the room. They didn't set it up the way we asked. I'm sorry if you're standing. There are chairs over here. We're going to try to wrap this up in 30 minutes. We will be here for questions afterwards. I'm Nancy Downey. I'm Director of Off-Campus Study. I've been at Colby since 2007. This is Allie Hawkins, my Assistant Director. Allie started last September. We're really happy that you're considering studying away, either abroad or on a domestic option. Off-campus study is located in Davis Connects in Grossman 100. We moved there last July. We're part of the Dean of the College division, so we work closely with Dean Carlene and her whole team. We're responsible for global and a few domestic experiences that are for a semester or a year and for academic credit, a full semester's worth of academic credit. We run a couple of our own programs in Dijon and Salamanca and also at Bigelow Labs in Booth Bay Harbor. Those are Colby programs. The other programs that students go on are vetted by my office and they're Colby approved programs. So we maintain an approved list and you need to have approval in order for your credits to transfer back to Colby. We do have a petition process for non-approved programs if you don't find, what you're looking for, but we do recommend sticking to our list because they're tried and true and we have a lot of opportunities. So as I said, we're really happy that you're considering doing this. It was really disappointing to me during the pandemic when a couple of my classes, didn't get to go or very few students got to go. So I'm glad the pandemic is somewhat behind us. I don't think it's over, but it's in control. So I'm really happy for your class and I hope you'll take advantage of all the opportunities we have. Allie and I just want to run through some of our policies and procedures and our process because there are a lot of deadlines. It is a process. It takes some planning. The good news is we're here to help you. We're going to give you prompts throughout, up until you go in your junior year. But you can help us help you by reading the handbook we're going to give you at the end. You're responsible for the information in the handbook. We have advising appointments in Grossman. We have walk-in hours, and you can always email us with any questions. And that means when you're here and also when you're abroad. So we're here to support you through the whole thing. And we do a re-entry event, a welcome back dinner. We did one this year for our students who were abroad last year. And we had a few students get up and speak about their experiences. The Colby community loves that. They love to hear what students are doing off campus. So yeah, first, why do this? I mean, I don't want it to just be a box that you check off in terms of, things that you're going to do in college. These are some of the reasons students tell us they want to go abroad. Expand your academic horizons. You might want to gain fluency in the language you're studying, and that's possible to do, especially if you go for a full year. Academic is just one thing. Career development. A lot of students might think they want a certain career, and they do one of our internship programs, which also has coursework attached to it, and you get credit for the internship. And they find out, you know what, I don't think I want to be a lawyer. Or they find out, I really want to be a lawyer. So it's great exploration. And also just, personal reasons. If you just want to be in a different culture, get out of Waterville, any reasons you want. Waterville does get a little small by your junior year. So I think, by that time you're ready to kind of spread your wings and fly a little. But the one thing I do stress to students is think about it for yourself. I know you might want to go the same place your friends are going. That's fine. But think about why you're going, what you want to get out of it. Because I will tell you, a semester goes by really, really fast. So you have to think about why you're there, set some goals. The other thing I'll say to you as I get older is travel when you're young, because you take every opportunity that you can to travel, because you just don't know where your life is going to take you. You don't know when you get to be my age if you'll be physically, emotionally, spiritually fit to travel. You might have too many family obligations, all of those things. And when you're young, you don't have all that stuff. So think about, your mental health, your physical health. Is this the right time for you to travel? Make sure it's the right decision for you, because it's a pretty serious undertaking to go to a new country and maybe live with a homestay family, or, you're meeting all new people. You might be speaking a foreign language. So I just want you to think about why you're doing it, what you want to get out of it. Allie pulled this from some of the research that shows what study abroad does for people, in terms of their academics, their job trajectory, their experience and professional networks. The personal gains are just that. They're very personal. And you might find the experience to be completely transformative. You might just say, it was fun and I learned a lot. Everybody gets something different out of it. So we don't try to prescribe for you what you're going to get out of it, but we love to hear when you get back how you grew and matured.
So yeah, in order to study off campus, there are some eligibility considerations that we just want to review really quickly here, because all this information is in the handbook and on the OCS website, which is new and hopefully easier for you guys to find the information on. The first consideration as it pertains to eligibility is GPA. You need a GPA of 2.7 to study off campus. If you have a GPA of 2.5, you can petition. So that's something to consider. For off-campus studies, we're sending students away for a semester or a full year. Generally, students have junior standing. There are some exceptions to that rule. Some students choose to study away the fall of their senior year or the second to last semester of your senior year, but you must be on Colby campus during your final Colby semester, if that makes sense, before you graduate. Additionally, if you are on disciplinary or academic probation, that's something that you should come talk to us about, so we can see if there's a way to navigate that or if you need to petition. And finally, the Colby faculty has a language requirement that is attached to off-campus study that we want to dive into a little bit. So I explain this a lot to students, so hopefully this is the fastest way that makes it super clear. So if the language spoken in the place you're going to is taught at Colby, right, you need to have at least 3 semesters or through the 127 level in order to go abroad. So if you're interested in going to a Spanish speaking country, if you want to go to Latin America, you need to either be, have completed 127 level Spanish before you go, or have tested out of it prior to coming to Colby. And then if the language spoken in your destination is English, or unless the national language spoken in your destination is English, you'll need to take at least 1 language course during your program. So if you want to go to Sweden, we don't teach Swedish here at Colby, so you have to enroll in Swedish 101 while you're there. And that's primarily just so you can culturally integrate. You need to be able to talk to people and order a coffee and ask for directions. So it's a safety issue and a cultural integration issue. And if you have questions about this, you can always ask me. There's a little bit more information about this in the handbook as well. So
can I just say one thing before you go on?
Mm-hmm.
So about the language requirement, we do allow a petition for the language requirement. Say you only have 2 semesters of Spanish by the time you go. You can petition for a waiver of that 3rd semester. I'm usually pretty lenient about that. Say you are studying art and you have discovered that you love Japanese woodblock prints, but you have not taken any Japanese. That's a good academic reason for wanting to go. So if you have a good academic reason, I'll work with you and try to get you to have at least one semester of Japanese in a case like that. What is not a good language petition is to say, I haven't bothered to study Italian, but I love Italian food, so I want to go to
I
Italy.
mean, we all do. So,
Yeah. So,
But-
so I want to work with you to get you to the place you want to go, especially if you're caught short and you didn't realize that you needed 3 semesters, or you discovered an academic interest too late to get those 3 semesters. There's a way to petition for that.
right. So this is just kind of like a very broad overview of kind of the off-campus study process. So the first things you're going to consider are, why do you want to go and are you eligible to go, right? We already talked about that. And then number 2 is kind of what you're doing right now, starting to engage with our office and attend some of our events. This is the info session next week in the same space, Tuesday, 3 to 5:30. We will have a study abroad fair where a lot of program providers and representatives from different universities from our approved list are actually coming to Colby campus. So it's a good way to learn more about the programs that we approve. Even if you haven't researched anything yet, it's a good first step. Maybe you know exactly where you want to go and you really want to talk to the rep from that program. Either way, highly recommend you coming to the event. And then we also offer OCS advising appointments. On the website, there's a button, click it to make an advising appointment. It's pretty simple. I also include the link in my email signature if you ever send me an email. So those are some ways that you can start really beginning to research your options. The first deadline that we have here at Colby is on November 15th. So you will need to log into the Colby portal, which you can find on the OCS website, and submit your statement of intent. This is basically the virtual version of you raising your hand and saying, hey, I want to study abroad. And you don't need to know at that point exactly which program you want to do, but you have to provide an academic justification for the semester you'd like to go. So in between now and then, talk to us, talk to your academic advisor, see what makes sense for you academically. Some people have really tight course schedules and there's only one semester that they can actually go and make it work. So you'll need to know that kind of information in order to submit the statement of intent. Then we have another deadline in February where you submit just a Colby application to study abroad. It's a pretty straightforward questionnaire. And also your academic advisor needs to submit approval by February 20th also. I will make a quick note that there are certain study abroad programs that their deadlines to apply to the provider is before February 20th. Most of those are in the UK. So if you're interested in going there and you have questions, I would highly recommend you make an advising appointment with me. Kind of stay proactive and be on the earlier side of things so you don't miss those deadlines. And then typically most students, unless you have an earlier deadline, after you submit all your materials to Colby, you'll then apply to the program or the university where you want to study abroad. And then the final step is to submit course approvals for the classes you're going to take to the registrar. All this information is in the handbook, so you don't need to remember it now. I'm just giving you kind of like a general overview to prepare you for the last step, which is for you to go and enjoy. And then we're curious always about what your experience was like. So we do ask you to submit a program evaluation and if you're able to be a resource for other students.
One thing I want to point out on the front of the handbook, it says that second deadline is February 20th, 2022. That's a typo. It's supposed to be 23. So don't worry about remembering everything we just said because we're gonna email you and remind you you've got to submit your statement of intent. You got to get some advising. You got to do this. I did want to say one thing about what Allie said about semester choice for the November 15th deadline. You know, if you play a sport, obviously you want to be here to play that sport. But we do rank you based on your academic reasons. We never actually tell students you can't go in the spring. But as you know, from how many people are on campus this fall, we had a really pronounced imbalance last year. I think people were hedging their bets with COVID. So I had only like 80 students out this semester, and I still have 179 in the database for spring. We try to avoid such an imbalance like that because it helps the college with everything, classroom space, dorms, you know, some of you are in forced triples probably. And so if you can go in the fall, please do, because it'll help with that imbalance. But you know, we understand some students are double majors and they need a certain semester, or I know students do it because of athletics. But when you write your statement of intent, don't write down soccer, even though it's a worthwhile pursuit, because that's not an academic reason. Try to come up with an academic reason why you need the semester you want. Does that make sense? All small colleges have this imbalance problem. It depends on, you know, which some colleges are basketball colleges, and so they might have the opposite problem. But anyway, did you want to talk about this?
Oh,
or-
yeah, sure. So when you guys start, I'm going to show you very quickly how to log into the Colby portal and all of that. But when you do start researching programs, right there, I'll start with the middle. There are a couple different types of programs that we approve. So some of them are based at universities and you can just go be a student, visiting student at a university for a semester. There are other programs called study center programs, which is where you're kind of with a cohort of other study abroad students. You may take some university courses, but they might provide courses through special instructors or things like that. So we also offer field-based programs. Like if you really want to be out, like camping in a tent and collecting samples or observing some scientific stuff that I don't know about, that's an option. We have internship programs, language intensive programs. So thinking about what kind of program you want to do, as well as the location, right? Some people are kind of agnostic. They just want to go and experience something new, but other people are laser focused on one particular city or country. So that's something to consider. Also keep in mind your own foreign language level, how comfortable you're going to feel where you're going. I'll also just say that there are some differences in learning difference accommodations around the world. So if that's going to factor into your decision making, that's something you can definitely make an advising appointment with me to discuss. And then, you know, the structure of the program, how long it is, the cost, like all of those things can weigh into your decision making and should be part of your kind of overall research strategy in addition to the goals. What do you want to accomplish while you're there, right? Is your goal to become fluent in a language? Are you trying to really dive deeper into your major? Are you trying to do something outside of your major? Both are equally valid pursuits. Just something to consider when you're doing your research for approved programs. So this is just a picture of the—
One more thing,
Oh,
Ellie,
sure.
sorry. Also a big consideration is housing, because if you know you don't want to live with a family, don't pick a program that has only a homestay option. You know, some programs will have a dorm, an apartment, and a homestay option. Some of them might just have one of those. So make sure you look at the housing options. Also look really closely at the calendar dates. If you're going to Oceania, Australia or New Zealand, some of those programs start really early.
Yeah,
in
like in the
July.
summer.
Because they have a slightly different calendar. So if you're doing an internship the summer before, that might not work for you. Just make sure you look at the housing and the calendar.
Right. So maybe since you guys are sophomores, you probably saw the old off-campus study site. This is what the new one looks like. So it's just a very quick tour where you can find us. If you want to start researching programs, I'd always tell students, please don't Google. Go to our online portal. There's tons of different filters you can apply, but the only results you get are going to be programs that we approve or that we will permit you to petition to participate in. If you search on the whole internet, you're going to come up with some really cool stuff, but it might not be something we can approve. So definitely start in the portal. It's right on the homepage. You'll scroll down. It's on that orange quick links bar. And then once you get into the portal, this is kind of what it looks like. Over on the left-hand side, you'll see there's an area you can click to search programs. There's a simple search function and an advanced search function. So you can filter things by your major. You can filter them by country, by region. You can filter by the type of housing accommodations, all different types of things. So that's something that you should start to get familiar with so you can try to narrow down your search. Additionally, on that same quick links bar on the website, there's a button that you can use to book an advising appointment. Right now, it brings you to just like a standard calendar. We're working to get on Handshake, so it might look different depending on when we're able to make that update, but the button will still be there. And that's where you can find it. So anytime you want to book an advising appointment, you can do that. We also have walk-in hours that are listed on the website. And I'm going to be announcing like pop-up, like mobile advising hours. If you want to know when those are and just like encounter us out in the wild, follow our Instagram account and Facebook account, because that's where we make those announcements.
Also, if you wander into Grossman 100 and I'm not in a meeting, I will talk to you anytime. So, and Allie too. But
yeah, we're usually there, but
Yep.
definitely there
Lunchtime
during walk-in
is
hours.
good. Talk to you, I'm eating lunch.
So we had already talked about these deadlines a
Yep.
little bit, but this is just to reiterate that they're kind of some internal deadlines and an external deadline, right? They're the things that you're going to submit to Colby, that the statement of intent, and then the Colby application and advisor approval. But then externally, there will be a deadline for your program or university. And that's not consistent. It's different. It depends on the program, and you can find it on the program website.
Yeah, it's different, but we can tell you that if you're applying for a fall program, you're going to want to get on that in March. That most of them are, March 15th or April 1st for fall. For spring, they tend to be September 15th to October 15th. Some of them might be as late as November 1st. Oxford has a very early deadline. It's January. It's even before you submit to us. So if you're planning on Oxford, just remember that. There's a couple others that might have a January deadline, very few.
And you also, if you're in the Colby portal, you might see language in that database that says like that programs aren't accepting applications anymore, or they might have like an end date. I just want to clarify that that's for the portal and it has nothing to do with your program. The deadline for your program or your university will always be on that program or university's website and not in our portal. So I get that question a lot from students. Just some quick academic policies that we want to review.
Yeah, so Ellie went over GPA. You should have a 2.7. If you fell a little below that, but you're above a 2.5, you can petition. At the February 20th deadline, you can submit that petition. I talked about the language modification petition. That's also at the February 20th deadline. Non-approved programs, same thing. Although if you're considering a non-approved program, you need to come in for an advising appointment because we will let you know if it's petitionable or not. So that's really important. And we do not accept non-approved program petitions beyond the February 20th deadline.
Yeah, so come talk to us if you have any questions about that.
Yeah, if you need to change your semester after you've submitted your statement of intent, you just write to us and we'll try to accommodate you.
Right. I want to talk a little bit about course approvals. So in order to get you off campus, it's definitely a team effort. It involves our office for sure, but we closely collaborate with faculty to make sure that whatever plan you choose to pursue, you're going to stay on track for graduation and you'll be able to complete your major requirements or minor requirements. So part of this process also will include you being in close communication with your academic advisor about what your plans are. You'll do a little bit of hypothetical course mapping with them once you select your program, so you can make sure that you'll be able to get the credits you need to get while you're abroad. You also will have to think about what courses will be available when you return to Colby, if there are really essential things that you need to check off your list for graduation. So definitely please have that conversation with your academic advisor. At the end of the day, they're going to have to sign a piece of paper that says they approve. So that's kind of how you get to that point. In addition, we just want to highlight that when you go abroad, you have to get a grade of a C or higher in order for those credits to transfer back to Colby. And you're not allowed to take pass-fail courses while you're studying off campus. Different programs, you might, depending on the program design, have to sign up for 5 classes or 4 classes or 3 classes and an internship. It just depends on the structure of the program. So if you have questions about that, we can try and clarify those for you, but it's usually pretty clear under the academic section of your program or university what your course load is. You will, just like you do at Colby, you'll need to show up to class and take exams. Some of the programs that we offer do allow you to get credit for internships, and if that's something you're interested in exploring, definitely come talk to us. Just want to draw a dividing line between what we do and then Jan Plan and summer experiences. Those are different things, but you can also earn credit for them by doing a transfer of credit form, which is found on the registrar's website, but that's actually not what we're talking about here. So just making that clear.
Yeah, the other thing to note is that if you go on a Colby program, Dijon, Salamanca, or Bigelow, those grades will not only appear on your transcript, they will also factor into your GPA. If you go on a non-Colby program that's approved by us, which most of you will do, the grades appear on your transcript, but they do not factor into the GPA. So that's something to note, and a reason not to like blow off classes, because they are, you know, I have students fail and then there's an F on their transcript and they want it erased, and I'm like, I can't.
And they don't get any credit for the course.
Right.
So.
It has to be a C or above. So just remember that. Most students do well on their program. Some are more rigorous than others. Yeah. So one thing I just wanted to point out. So we have a new I have a new boss at Davis Connects, Damon Yarnell. He's the dean of student engagement and global advancement or something. I can never remember his title, but good guy. He asked me to think a little more deeply about study abroad and what students gain when they study abroad. And I drew on my own experiences living and studying abroad. I spent a lot of time in Russia when Gorbachev was in charge over there, and I said his name a couple of weeks ago, and then he died. People have been bringing me lists of people's names to speak about it. Anyway, Allie spent a lot of time in Jordan and the Middle East.
Yeah, if anybody wants to go to the Middle East, come talk to me.
Yeah. So, but anyway, when I think about what I gained from my time in Russia, and it was hard, you know, I was there like in the 80s and 90s, and there were food shortages and stuff. And so I came up with these 3 things because for me, this is what has stayed with me, and for me it adds up to an ability to commit to mastering my circumstances, whatever they are. And during the pandemic, that was really helpful because, you know, it was a tough time. I know you guys are already more resilient than some of our past students because you've you know, maneuvered through the pandemic, and that was hard on all of us, and we're all a little damaged from that. So I know your resilience is high. So we're gonna survey you on these 3 things before you go and after you come back.
Super quick.
See, you know, how you fared, because I know that you're going to improve in these things, and these skills are going to help you in your life. I got a lot of degrees. I love to learn. That was all great, but these things have really helped me, not only in my job, but my personal life, everything. So the 3 R's, not reading, writing, arithmetic. So yeah, that's we're going to send you an evaluation about that.
Yeah, so it's a quick Google form at this point. We ask you about the 3 R's before you go, and then again when you come back takes 2 minutes to fill out, but it's super helpful for us. I really can't stress enough how much this type of reflection from you all is valuable for our office. In addition to that, you'll do a program evaluation. It is anonymous, but it's really a time for you to reflect on your experience and also just kind of different aspects of your program. If you had this amazing idea of what the housing situation was going to be like, and then you got there and it wasn't nice, we want to hear about it. And so do other Colby students. So we're working on compiling a database of your evaluations so other people can search through the anonymous versions of them, and it'll be a really big help to other Colby students as well as to us, because we want to know what was really good and what really wasn't. So that's a big help, and you'll get that after you're done with your semester or year abroad. So now that we've given you all the information, right, got to give you some actions, some steps you can take now that this meeting is almost over. And the first would be, as I said previously, to come to the Study Abroad Fair next week. It's going to be really fun. We're going to have some snacks, and it's just an opportunity for you to wander around and see what's out there. So it'll be really useful. Make some in-person connections with the program providers. Go to the Colby portal. Now you all know what it looks like, where it is. You can access it, start researching some approved programs, use those filters, see what's really interesting to you, and make sure you talk about it with your academic advisor. And additionally, if you have questions about different programs, you can always make an advising appointment with me. We have walk-in hours, like I said, that are listed on the website, but the next deadline that's on your horizon is the deadline to submit the statement of intent in the Colby portal by November 15th. So
Does anyone have questions they want to ask now? Allie and I will be here for a few minutes afterwards if you don't want to ask it in front of everybody. So we have handbooks. I'm not sure if we brought enough. They were kind of heavy, but you can, if you don't get one here, you can come by Grossman 100 and we can chat a little about what you're thinking about. So no questions?
thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Please come get a handbook.